Hi there. I am so excited that you are here. Today we are going to talk about pain coping strategies, labor coping strategies that really work. You may be surprised by some of the things and how much relief that you can get throughout labor using a few different strategies. So today we are going through a few key strategies: deeply relaxing, touch, distraction, moving your focus, maintaining capacity, just so that you have a variety of tools to pull out of your toolbox and use as you go through labor. All right, so the first that we're going to talk about, especially with deeply relaxing, one of the things that can really, really help you come to a nice, deep state of relaxation is to use the water. I know some of you have seen water birth pictures or videos, and you know, oh my goodness, that is where I want to be. That calls to you. And other people are like, I don't know if that would really work for me. So let's talk about what water does and what results it gets for moms. Um, Here's the full story: is that water does give more pain relief than IV opioids. That is why so many women use labor tubs or use water throughout labor. Other things that water does during labor is that women who use water during birth, they have lower pain scores. They use less pain medication. They need less, fewer drugs to help speed up their labor. Artificial oxytocin, it's called Pitocin in the hospital. It's what most hospitals will use. You just need less of it if you use the water during active labor. Moms who use the water often have shorter labors, not always, but often. Higher rates of vaginal births, higher rates of intact perineums. This means that you're less likely to tear. And we're talking about tearing in the water. The really, really significant part of that is that it's really normal for moms to have small tears that might require 1 or 2 stitches. But if you use the water, you're very, very, very unlikely to have a really significant tear where you would need medical help in your recovery. Fewer uses of episiotomies, which is simply like a little cut that they do to make more space for baby. Unfortunately, with episiotomies, kind of like if there's a cut in a fabric and you have that weak point in the fabric or the skin, when you put pressure on it, it's more likely to tear greater. So that less use of episiotomy is also probably why there's more intact perineums, at least one part of the story of that. And my favorite is that moms who use the water typically just have more satisfaction with their birth, which I think is probably because of the pain relief that you get from it. So if you can use the water, what I typically see with my moms is that you get really, really good pain relief for about an hour. Then we'll typically get out, move around a little bit, try a few new positions, go for a walk, recharge with food, and then get back in for another hour, and just continue with that rotation of eat, move, rest. And we use the rest point in the water. If you can submerge your belly in the water, you can be in your hands and knees, on your back. Have someone get some extra towels and cushions to really give your head something to rest on, so you can really, really like totally release. And it can feel really good to have a partner pouring water on your belly during or between contractions. It's just very, very, very soothing. All right, so another method of just relief is aromatherapy. And I know this surprised me, but on average, moms that use aromatherapy during birth report that their pain levels decrease from 9.4 to 6.7. So again, we're not talking about total relief from contractions, but we're talking about making it more manageable. All 5 studies that looked at anxiety and essential oils reported that moms who used this tool had less anxiety. When we're thinking about that fear, tension, pain scale, you can see how reducing the anxiety can result in less pain and coping better with the pain. So a few ways to use essential oils or aromatherapy during labor is to just pick your favorite scent and diffuse it during your labor. Lavender, clary sage, bergamot, those are all very, very popular. But if you have a scent that you just love, use the one that you love. Another good thing is to pack something that you can, like a massage oil that you can inhale. A lot of times I'll have moms rub peppermint or orange or that bergamot or lavender into their hands. And then as we're talking about that, remember we talked about that breathing where you want long, slow inhales, then super long, slow exhales. You guys, the aromatherapy oil in your hand, you naturally do that. How much more oxygen are you going to be able to take in into your lungs and then deliver through to your placenta, to your baby, to your pelvis that needs all that support at this time? If you're smelling something like that, right? And it just naturally guides you through that breathing technique that's really going to help you get through your contractions and help you stay calm and focused instead of tense and stressed. Another really great thing, partners, if you rub just a few drops on your fingers and do little circles on temples and then rub your hands down behind ears, down the neck, across the back of the shoulders, you'll release a lot of that tension that just naturally builds up as a mom goes through contractions over and over and over again. That can be a really great tool for you to use as your labor is progressing and you're just feeling like it's been a lot and you need a deep reset. Partners, let's talk about some really, really helpful touches. I think one of the most difficult things during labor is as a partner that we often mirror each other, right? So if you think about your partner is trying to deal with the anxiety of giving birth, and you have a lot on your mind, and you're witnessing the person that you love being a little bit more stressed, working really hard, and your own emotions are growing, it's really easy to want to give support in kind of a frazzled way where you go to give a back rub and you go really fast. You're like, okay, you're okay, you're okay, you're okay. Remember on your side, also take a deep breath and be slow and steady. Be that rock that is her foundation. And let her mirror off of you instead of the other way. Some things that you can do to help is to squeeze her hips. If you put your hands so you can feel her bones and just a little bit lower so you're really squeezing the back of her hips, just do an inward and upward motion. That will give a lot of relief from contractions. Moms, speak up about what you love as far as how much pressure you want. Typically, people want a light pressure at the beginning, and as labor goes on, want more and more pressure with their contractions as they're kind of increasing in intensity. Another great point of counter pressure, if you're feeling the pain in your back, is to take the heel of your palm and just slow and steady into the small of the back until the contraction is over. This one is not like a quick movement. It is just firm and steady. Oftentimes I go like this if a mom needs more pressure, because then you can lean your body weight into it as well. One thing that I really don't want you to underestimate is just the power of holding hands, having someone who is present with you, telling you they love you, that you're doing a good job, is often all a mom needs to stay in her peaceful coping space. And again, gentle back rubs are so, so helpful. All right, let's go on and talk about a different method of coping with labor, which is the gate theory. This is where we're really going to be using distraction. And the reason that this works is because your brain can only process so much information. Where you're feeling the contraction in your lower half, in your lower back, in your abdomen, basically typically around your belly and below. Information that gets to your brain from your upper body gets processed first, and you can kind of fill your brain so that your brain can't really process as much of the feeling of the contraction because it's already being overloaded with other stimulus. A great way to do that is with a TENS unit. A TENS unit, basically it's just these little sticky pads that you put on your back. And mom, during contractions, you just press the button. You can get these at Walgreens, at Amazon. They're like $20. They're really, really cheap and easy to use. And you just press the button as you're reaching the peak of your contraction. And it gives you like a little tingly feeling in your back, kind of like the pins and needles of when your arm falls asleep. So not painful. And it just floods your brain with that tingly sensation. So you have the contraction and your brain's like not even really processing it. Some moms, this is like a game changer. It is so effective. And some people don't really like it. I think you will find that same with all of these. Some things will work for you and some things you'll try and move on. Another very similar strategy is to squeeze a brush or a comb. I know we talk about like relax, 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 relax during labor, but at some point, for some people, that's just not possible. So if you can squeeze your hand really, really tightly around something that's going to give you that feedback, like a little bit of pressure here, get your mind to 100% focus on your hand, what happens is that your hand is tensing. And because you're focused here, your lower body is totally relaxing. So if you're trying to relax through contractions and that is just not happening for you, try squeezing a brush or comb and see if that changes your focus during labor and allows you to get through contractions a bit easier. And my absolute favorite is using chocolate or candy as the distraction method. I once had a mom who brought like a 12-pack of really delicious gourmet chocolates, all different flavors. And during the beginning of a contraction, she would just pop one in her mouth. She would put all her focus on what does it taste like? How does it feel melting? How is this different than the other one? And just like truly trying to enjoy that flavor. And it got her through a lot of labor. So if you are wanting something kind of fun to try and to experiment with during labor, bring a yummy treat like this and just try, enjoying it during a contraction to take your focus off of the actual feeling of a contraction. And again, it is the same. The reason that it worked so well for this mom and that it's worked for a few other moms is that it does the same thing. Is what you experience here will first be processed by your brain before what you're feeling down here. So if you, again, you're just overloading your brain, bringing all your focus to the sensations in your mouth instead of the sensations in the rest of your body, it can be a fun way to pass some time during labor. All right, so now we're going to talk about another method of pain relief, which is called central nervous system control, which is essentially relaxing your mind. And you are actually doing this right now as we speak and as you've taken your other lessons, because you've learned to identify the difference between input and reaction, and then take control of that space. I find that space in between and then control and change the reaction, right? So when you are able to do that, you're able to change the perception of pain from pain telling you something's wrong to work helping you accomplish something purposeful and meaningful, right? Those are two very different experiences. A few ways that you can use this is by moving through your body, tensing and releasing your eyes, your lips, your nose, your shoulders, your back, your belly, your hips, your legs, your feet, your toes, just squeezing it tight and relaxing it. That's one way that you can just change how you're perceiving the tension in your body. Another way that you can use that is, again, counting, looking for the peak and then releasing, because then you really only have to get through half the contraction before you're saying goodbye to it already. Does it work? The answer is yes. That woman who used this approach before being offered an epidural had fewer cesareans, fewer assisted deliveries with either forceps, which is kind of like salad tongs that they use to help get your baby that last little bit out, or a little vacuum, which is kind of like the same thing where they just put a suction cup on baby's head and just help them kind of guide them through the rest of the birth canal. Which can be really helpful, but also have their own risks associated with them, which we'll talk about a little bit later. Less use of Pitocin, and on average, shorter labors. Again, there are a lot of things that are going to influence the length of your labor. So it's possible to do everything right and still have a long labor. That's not necessarily something that you did. It could just be the way that, again, the placenta, the umbilical cord, the space baby has the pelvis that they're navigating and how they're, tilting their head and working through their rotation. So don't feel bad if you still have a long labor when you're using these. But do know that typically you will have fewer interventions and complications when you use these methods first. One last thing I want to talk about with pain management and pain control is to make sure that you're maintaining your capacity. We talked earlier about how, the same amount of pain will feel different based on your overall sense of well-being, right? So if you are eating and drinking during labor to comfort, and for a lot of people that isn't really much, like a few bites will go a long way to maintaining your capacity, and same with drinks. But think smart with the food you eat. Things that will give you energy, things that will give you nutrients, things that will help sustain you. So a lot of people during active labor will just want a couple bites. Raspberries are really simple and easy to eat. They have a lot of nutrients, a lot of water, and a little bit of sugar that will give you energy. Same with cut up strawberries. Protein bars are easy as well. Candy is an okay option, but not great. But sometimes if that's what you want, it's what you want, right? And you're in labor, so go with what you want. And then as far as drinks, a lot of women just want water during active labor. And if that's you, listen to your intuition and trust that. But I also recommend trying drinks that will give you more energy so that you don't end up having your capacity shrinking because you've just used all the energy up in your body. A few really good drinks to have on hand or to try are coconut water, sport drinks. Bone broth is absolutely one of the best because it has so much protein and so many minerals in it. And then if you are having anyone stop by and visit you in labor, or if you're at a place that has a Starbucks, or if you have a doula coming on their way and she's stopping and saying, do you want anything? Do you want me to bring you anything? The drink that I always bring my moms is on the secret menu at Starbucks, there's a drink called the medicine ball, which is essentially steamed lemonade with a couple different tea bags in it. So it's very sweet. It also has a ton of vitamins and minerals in it from the tea that's been steeped for, typically by the time it's cool enough to eat, it's been steeped for a while. And so it gives you a lot of the energy that you need to sustain the work that your body is doing. So I recommend that one as well if it's easily available. But of course, you're not going to want to run through a Starbucks on your own as you're in labor. But that way you just have some options. Make sure to pack a bendy straw, because if you're eating and drinking, half the time someone else is going to be holding the drink for you because you'll be so focused in the work you're doing. So make sure you have a straw so that it's just really easy. You can take a couple sips, put the drink down. It's not something you have to fuss with or fumble with. All right. So one last question that I hear a lot And I want to make sure that you have is what is the best form of pain relief, because I absolutely want you to have the best form of pain relief. And the truth is that everyone is an individual. Your baby will have, there's so many factors that go into your birth, right? So there's going to be a lot of factors in what's going to relieve the pain for you. The best pain relief is when several of these methods are combined and tailored to you as an individual. That's where having the continuous support of a doula can come into place, because she can help you know when to use these and when to throw them away. Things like muscle relaxation that might bother you in early labor and then be the thing that really helps you relax later in labor. And as you go through the process, your preferences might change. So having somebody that can be in tune with what you need can be very helpful. And your loving and supportive partner can never be replaced by a doula, because their presence and their ability to do things and to read you and to know what you need will be unlike anybody else's. So that is a great team to have behind you if it's something that you are interested in. It's always recommended to try these methods first before using medical epidurals or different medical options, IV opioids, or some of the other choices you have. We'll talk about those in a later things, because these ones have no side effects. And you can always change your mind and go into a medical epidural when you want one and when you need one. But the fact is that you have to get through some of labor before you will be admitted into the hospital. So make sure that you're prepared with some of these strategies. And if you are choosing a birth where you don't want any medical pain relief, I have seen these work over and over and over again. I know they can get you from start to finish if that is what you want. So stay calm and let your body do its work, and let people help you through these methods. You've totally got this. And if you have any questions, as always, I am here if you need me.